No coincidences, no accidents, no escapes. You can't cheat death. Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. This week I figured we would talk about a film that actually just recently celebrated its 20th anniversary, and that is Final Destination. I actually really enjoy pretty much most of this franchise, so I thought it would be a fun one to talk about. But real quick, I just want to let you guys know that if you are new to the channel, please make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it, just so that way you do get notifications for all my new videos. I'm going to be doing a lot of, older film reviews with everything kind of going on right now. I mentioned in my previous Leprechaun review. So definitely, keep an eye out for that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And, we got a lot of great content coming. But yeah, like I was saying, with Final Destination, it is directed by James Wong, and it stars Devon Sawa, Ali Larter, Sean William Scott, Tony Todd, and a bunch of other people. Basically, the plot of this film is you have these group of kids. They're getting ready to go on this field trip when one of the kids ends up having this premonition and getting a bunch of them off the plane. Sure enough, something happens, and basically throughout the rest of the film, these group of kids are trying to avoid being killed off because death itself is kind of going after them one by one in all these crazy different ways. So that's the basic idea of the film, and I will give you a heads up for the rest of the review. There is going to be some, some slight spoilers, just because it is a film that came out 20 years ago, so I imagine most of you guys have probably seen it by now, but if you haven't, this is just your warning. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into the movie.
I got this feeling. It's a weird feeling.
The cabin starts to shake, right? And the left side blows up, and then the whole plane just explodes. The plane's gonna explode! It's not a joke! It's not a joke!
We get thrown off the plane all because Brownie has a bad dream?
So like I said, basically, so how this film starts off is you have these group of kids. It's a class. They're going to a field trip to Paris. And, the film focuses on Alex in particular, who's played by Devon Sawa. And we see him, he's getting ready to, pack everything up and getting ready to go to the airport. And as he is, as an audience member, and you do see him start noticing some of these things, all these weird little signs, things happening leading up to him getting to the airport. And then when he gets there, he's with his friends, he starts noticing, continues to notice these weird little coincidences, these weird little signs. And he ends up having this premonition when he's on the plane itself, freaks out, ends up getting him and a group of these other people off the plane because they're either friends, or one of them ends up fighting him because they're mad that he's freaking out on the plane. But he gets these group of people off, and then sure enough, when they're off, they end up seeing the plane take off, and it ends up exploding in midair, killing everybody. And so these people are the group of people that survive, that crazy accident. So from there, basically the rest of the film, you have these group of survivors, these kids, and one by one, death itself basically is going after these survivors, trying to take them out one by one in all these crazy different ways. So that's pretty much how the rest of the film plays out. Now, as with how the movie started off with Alex kind of seeing those signs, he starts to pick up on these things even more. And after having this really awesome meeting with Tony Todd, who plays the coroner in this movie, he has a really small role, but he's definitely a highlight of the film. Tony Todd's always awesome, but he was really cool in this role, and he actually comes back in the franchise too. But he gives this speech to Alex, Devon Sawa's character, and just tells him that death has a plan for everyone. There's a design, and then from there, it's basically up to Alex and his friends to figure out what this design is. And he does, and ends up basically figuring out who's kind of next according to where they were sitting in the plane, basically.
In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, and no escapes.
So it's a really, really cool film. With all this happening, and Alex figuring this out, the police and stuff kind of think he's nuts because him having this like premonition and plane blows up and all these other people start kind of dying off. Like, a lot of people would probably kind of think the same thing too. But so basically him and his friends are trying to figure out, how to avoid being killed off. And something that I really liked about this film is that, in like the 90s, you had a lot of slasher flicks that were just kind of like weren't that great. There definitely was some solid ones. Like, I love like Urban Legend. I know what you did last summer, Scream, stuff like that, obviously. But the genre was definitely, it was getting, a little tired in like the 90s. So what I really liked about this film was that, it had a twist on it. It wasn't some like slasher or monster. It was, basically death itself going after these characters. So that was something like that idea I thought was just like really cool, really new. And I remember this film actually like freaking me out because like the first time that I ended up going on a plane, like it was like several years like after that, but I was like freaking out. Like I did not want to go on the plane because I thought it was gonna like blow up and everything. So this movie definitely messed with me. And then everyone, which we might talk about it, but Final Destination 2, the whole the log scene with the truck, that's definitely messed with a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, like the deaths in this film, you would see like each time you could tell when like someone was basically like about to die because all these like little things would start happening, like water would start like leaking from a faucet and then that would cause like something else. So it was basically like a chain reaction of events, and then these people would die in like, these crazy like different ways. And that's kind of like basically what the rest of the franchise kind of looked like. It would start off with like this like big set piece, and then for the rest of the movie it would focus on these group of characters trying to not get killed by death going after them. So it was a really popular franchise in the 2000s. If you haven't seen it, I pretty much liked all of them except for number 4. 4 was one that was kind of just like meh. It didn't really care for it that much, but everything else, including like this first one, I was a really big fan of. I thought that Devon Sawa and like Larter, they were kind of the two main characters of this film. I thought they did a really good job with what they kind of like had to work with. And, I thought that they were, for the most part, like both those characters were pretty smart with some of the decisions, like especially Alex, because at one point he kind of boards himself like up in his room. And actually the actor ended up joking about this recently, practicing some social distancing. But yeah, he like, sets it, all these like basically kind of like traps up so that way death can't get him. So he was, I thought he was a pretty, smart character overall. Same thing with Larter. And Sean William Scott, I always, I'm a big fan of like the American Pie series. And I thought that he was, he kind of actually reminded me of Stifler a little bit in this role. But he was kind of just like a funny character. I liked him. I don't know. But everyone, was pretty, overall, like the film, I thought all the characters were, good enough, at least a couple good performances. Tony Todd, like I said, he really stood out for me, even though his role was really small, but he ends up coming back for the rest of the series. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was something that, especially like the first time I thought it was something that was really like different. And, just like the whole idea was a fresh take like on the genre. And it was just interesting to see kind of how some of these characters would end up getting taken out by death. So yeah, let me know, actually first, as far as a rating goes. So as far as this movie, the first movie goes, I would give this a solid like 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, it's really enjoyable. I think that, first time viewers, it's something different if you haven't seen it before. And then the rest of the series too, I thought everything else was pretty good except for number 4. And they're actually working on a part 6, it sounds like. It's like still in like really early stages of the development process. But it sounds like it's going to take place in kind of the same universe, so that's pretty cool. I'm definitely up for like another Final Destination series, as long as they can keep it, interesting. I'm totally fine with that. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you haven't seen it before. Let me know, what you guys think of Final Destination, the original one, down below in the comments. But also let me know which one is your favorite in the franchise. I definitely like 1 I would say probably like 1 and 2 might be like my favorites, but I'm interested to hear what you guys see. So let me know down below in the comments. And again, guys, if you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. I'm going to continue to do these kind of retro, like throwback videos for some of these like older movies where we're not going to be getting anything, it sounds like, for at least a little while. And as always, guys, make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.